Hello, everyone. I'm Ryan from Fireside Yankees.
And I'm Nick. What's up? What's up?
All right. So today we have another episode just kind of talking about some recent stuff's been going on. Has been crazy in terms of offseason stuff, but there has been one big move in the AL East that, definitely is going to change at least some things. And that's Trevor Story to the Red Sox. So why don't we just get started there? Because I think that's probably the biggest news from the AL East so far.
It's a good deal for Trevor Story. I mean, we talked about him a little bit on our last episode, which if you haven't checked out, go check out. I think we're at 200 views in that one now. So
Yeah, we're
that was a
closing in
long
on
one.
200.
That was a long one. So we'll keep this one around 45 minutes. That way people can fit it in and not feel like they're going to watch the Batman, which by the way, excellent movie. But Trevor Story to the Red Sox, it's good for Story because he got the length he wanted. He got 6 years for 140 million and then an option for his seventh for 160. So he got his deal and he got his extension and his security. We talked a bit about it before the show. Who knows what's going on with his elbow and his arm? That may or may not be true. If he does end up playing second base for them almost exclusively, which it looks like Boston's going to do, even though metrically he's better than Xander is at shortstop. I don't know. But I'm not like threatened more now by Boston than I was before. Kind of like I was saying with Correa to the Twins, like it's a great move for the Twins. Twins fans should be really excited, but I don't think it makes them that much more of a threat in terms of like a World Series team. But with Story, I don't know. You can chime in here. I think the 30-30 potential is clearly there. He's a great player. He makes Boston's lineup better, that's for sure. But it shows that the Yankees are just 100% committed to their infield. Like, no, like there's no other moves that they make that unless they just ship off Glaber for a pitcher, which is still a pipe dream. And it seems less and less likely as the days go on. But it seems like we're committed to what we have.
Yeah, for sure. And I want to second, and really emphasize, yes, Story makes the Red Sox better. I don't think we're coming into this saying Story makes the Red Sox worse or Story doesn't make the Red Sox any better. Story's not an impact player. He absolutely is. But at the same time, I think the Yankees and the Red Sox are going to score a very similar amount of runs this year. I think they'll be within the same ballpark of runs where it's a non-difference in runs. However, when it comes to run prevention, and you hinted at this kind of with Story and Bogarts where they're going to be playing. Having Story at second and Bogarts at shortstop is going to make them worse at preventing runs. They've already got a shaky pitching staff. Sale's out for a little bit. They're going to rely on Houck and Whitlock to transition from guys who really aren't made to go 5+ innings a game or 3 times through the order to guys who have to be able to reliably do so. They do have some depth in the bullpen and some guys who can pitch a lot of innings, but they don't have really that outside of Eovaldi, who I think is really good. I like Eovaldi a lot.
Yeah, he's really
they don't
good.
really have that reliable number 2 guy who's going to be there game 1 to game 162. And you can not have that. Like you could be a team like the Rays that doesn't really have that, but has the depth. The Red Sox don't have the depth either because a lot of their depth is on the shelf right now, and they're kind of waiting to see them come back. And having bad defense doesn't help, especially in the infield.
No, that's what we talked about with the Phillies too, similarly, where it's like, we were blanking on the Phillies number 2, and I can't believe we both did this, and their number 3. Their number 2 is Zach Wheeler, or the number 1's Wheeler. The Nola's the number 2. So Wheeler, there's questions about him being healthy, and people fear that Joe Girardi may have just overworked him and ran his arm into the ground, which I worry about because Wheeler already has had Tommy John surgery and has had arm problems in the past with the Mets. So it's like, hopefully that doesn't happen. He's a great pitcher. But that defense behind him is not great at all. The defense behind Nola is not great. The defense behind Ranger Suarez, who's going to be, I think, really good this year, not great. Like the Red Sox are, in my opinion, the AL equivalent to the Phillies, where they have a couple of really talented pieces pitching wise. Like I really like Eovaldi. If Houck does end up being able to go 5 or 6 innings, he's a really good pitcher. And Whitlock, they shouldn't use him as a starter. If they use Whitlock as a starter, that's a terrible decision, in my opinion. Because Whitlock's value comes from being able to use him out of the pen, use him kind of similarly to how the Yankees use Chad Green or how they used Jonathan Loáisiga last year.
Right.
And that's what makes him so valuable. And again, if you look at the rotations side by side, the Red Sox and the Yankees, you were saying like the back end of that Red Sox rotation is really not good. Like Rich Hill, they're hoping can keep going. Like that's a lot to ask for a guy that's 40.
And he's more like a 3 starter for them at this point. Like
that's crazy because Sale's injured. Yeah.
And so, like, the difference between the Yankees and Red Sox this year, I think, will come down to the amount of runs they give up. And I think the Yankees are just going to give up less runs than the Red Sox.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't think that's us being Yankee fans telling you, the Yankees are just No, they're so much better than the Red Sox. Like, no, it's just a matter of there's one team that has a lot of starters and a lot of depth. They don't necessarily have that great number two because Severino's a little, we don't know what Severino's going to be, though. He did throw pretty hard on Sunday.
Yeah, it was nice to see him throw 97. That was nice.
Yeah. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you Severino's going to give you 180 innings, be the guy he was in 2018.
That's the dream.
I'm not going to say it's going to happen. That's what we hope for. Not going to say it's going to happen. But, they have depth, right? And they have that defense where, yes, we didn't land that big time shortstop, but, when the Red Sox did, but moved to the second base. So realistically, did they land a big time shortstop or a big time second baseman? That left side of the infield is still really brutal with Devers and Bogarts. The dream was, or for what I
understood, Dalbec isn't a good defensive first baseman either. Like their whole infield isn't, and especially Story at second base now. Like their whole infield is going to take a step back defensively because like Devers last year, and it's kind of people kind of determine that he's not a great defensive third baseman, but he's an elite hitting third baseman. And they were able to ink him for what I believe 12 million for arbitration this year.
I think it was 11
million for Devers, and then I think they'll be in a similar. Maybe we're in a similar situation with Judge right now, where it's like we may just do that arbitration, then get contract extension talks for this during this year for next season. But that defense is just not great because they and even offensively they lost Schwarber and Renfroe, who granted Renfroe had a breakout season last year, and I don't think that he's a 260 hitter, but they have Schwarber and Renfroe, and then a breakout year from Enrique Hernandez, and then Dalbec had like 2 or 3 stretches where he was actually a pretty good hitter. They need to kind of replicate that, and they need Story to make up for the lack of Schwarber and Renfroe because JBJ is replacing Renfroe in terms of their lineup, and JBJ is one of the worst offensive players in baseball.
Yeah,
and their bottom half is not very good. Like it's kind of similar to ours, where we have that catcher blank right now, and then IKF, who's a slap shot hitting 700 OPS, 720 OPS, hopeful shortstop. Whereas for them, it's like they got Vazquez, who's all right, and then they got JBJ, and then above that they got Devers. So it's like the Red Sox lineup is really talented, really good, but it's similar to the Blue Jays, where if you have any lefty on the mound, they're going to destroy you. But if you have a righty, like it's predominantly righty in across Major League Baseball, it's going to be a manageable lineup to come across because they're very righty heavy as well. Like they're just like the Blue Jays. I feel like now we're all of a sudden the balanced team in the AL East. Like when did that happen?
And I think on top of that, you made a great point with how I think the Red Sox and Yankees, again, they really stack up very similarly offensively. I really think they're going to put up, I don't think the difference between the Yankees and Red Sox is their offense. I think it's the pitching or the run prevention.
Like we have Nestor as our five long relief guy, and he is very good. People may not like it because he's not like super shiny and he only throws like 91, 92. But watching Nestor Cortez pitch is very enjoyable. The dude has the little shimmy. He throws people off with his delivery and his timing, and hitters can't get a good pace and a read on his pitch. And that's why he was so good last year. And that's why he will see another 100, 110 innings this year. Like Nestor Cortez is really good. And the Red Sox got to match that, in my opinion. For their 5 right now, their long relief guy is going to be Waka, maybe Pivetta. Like that's not very good.
Yeah.
And I love Michael Waka. I was like my favorite time watching baseball is Michael Waka's prime with St. Louis, like when he and Waino just carried that team. But now you look and he's got a lot of miles on his arm, just like Paxton when he comes back from injury. Sale, a lot of miles on his arm. Eovaldi even.
Yeah, and neither, Walker's going to really need to hope that, he figures out something, right? Like, but he's 30, right? And, he's on the downswing. He hasn't been as good recently as he was, like you mentioned, in his prime. It's just
Walker's
hard to
only 30?
Well, he's going to turn 31. He's going to turn 31 in July. So, yeah, he's 30.
That's crazy. Michael Walker's been pitching for so
he's been around for a while. And, he still throws, it's not like he's had a drastic velocity drop off. It's just like, he
just isn't able to miss bats, get the ground balls as much. A lot of people kind of figured him out, and that's why
for the air way more.
As you know, at the end of his Cardinals tenure, they like put him into the bullpen because they wanted him to pitch and work out. Didn't put him back in the rotation, put him in the bullpen. Then he went to the Mets. Then he went to the Rays, and now he's on the Red Sox. And it's like this is just weird.
Right, and I remember on the Rays, he actually killed us a lot. I specifically
that's what I don't get. I hated it too.
Yeah, we could just not figure out Michael Waka.
And Patino, I remember, had 3 or 4 really good starts against us. Like 3 or 4 really good innings against us, where it's just like Luis Patino is looking like he's this ace. And we can transition a little bit from the Red Sox to the other teams in the AL here. The Rays, they have some problems now. Like Shane Baz has undergone arthroscopic surgery on his elbow because that apparently needs to get that repaired. So he's out at least a couple of weeks. Luis Patino was scratched from the start, I believe, today or yesterday because he had an injury. So now the Rays, all of a sudden, really talented young rotation that could have featured two of their top prospects is looking like hopefully they can get Kluber to throw 140 innings, 150 innings.
Yeah, and I think
Rasmussen.
That's my big fear, or that's what has been my big fear with the Rays. I said earlier this morning when the Bosnies came out, once he went down, even if it's just for 2 months, and it's only a month of the regular season, right? In a competitive division like the AL East, that's something that I think confidently makes me say I don't think they're going to win a division.
I agree with you.
Really, really talented team, right? Don't get me wrong, but you just can't lose. There's a certain point at which losing starters it's a backbreaker, right? Especially for a team like the Rays, where they really, really, really needed Baz. They need those innings. And for people saying, Baz was going to pitch a full season. Well, that's where the problem lies, right?
He would have kind of been Kopech, I feel like, where they would have used him as a long relief arm. And especially for the first month of April with that expanded 28-man roster, Shane Baz would have most definitely made the opening day roster.
Oh, no, he was a lock, in my opinion. And
especially with Glasnow being hurt. Like, this dude was literally Glasnow Jr.
I think he's got the potential to be better than Glasnow. I really do.
It's crazy because Glasnow, I remember after he had that 7 ERA season with the Pirates and his first taste of the show, everyone's like, he's got control issues. He can't throw. He's way too big. No off speed. And now you look at Glasnow and everyone's like, I would love to have Tyler Glasnow on my team.
Yeah, when Tyler Glasnow's healthy, he's ridiculous. But I think this is kind of the recurring problem with the Rays. We saw this last year in the playoffs, where it's like, this is a really good team. However, look at the guys who are on the IL, and they're all happening to come from that rotation, right? They have Yonny Trino's coming back from Tommy John. You don't know how he's going to look like. Ryan Yarbrough really struggled last year. You have guys like Patino now hurt, Baz now hurt. McClanahan's going to probably be the top guy in that rotation.
That's what's crazy. I love Shane McClanahan. I think he's really, really good, and he's so fun to use in the show. But he's their ace. He's 22, 23. He's their ace. And that's crazy.
I believe in him, stuff-wise, to be that guy.
But he's never pitched more than 130 innings. I mean,
right.
The dude's
that's the
23.
Problem. And then your options of Kluber, Rasmussen, these are just guys that you cannot rely upon to give you 30 starts. And you can figure it out. Don't get me wrong.
And they don't have Nick Anderson because he underwent surgery on his elbow as well.
And, for the Yankees, I think that this was a problem for the Yankees that, I would like to see them address, but they do have a Garrett Cole, right? They have a Garrett Cole. The Rays don't necessarily have their Garrett Cole, where it's a guy who's going to be there for 30 starts. He's going to be there for 30 starts, and you just kind of figure out the other 4, 5 guys and kind of mix and match them, right? Maybe the Rays can figure it out. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that they figure it out. But I don't think they're going to figure it out to an extent in which they're going to be that 100-plus win team that they were last year. And I really don't think they were I don't think there were 9 games better than the Red Sox, Blue Jays, Yankees. I think they were more 3 or 4 at best for maybe the Blue Jays, Red Sox. I know the Yankees really relied on winning a lot of one-run games. So I'm not going to say the Yankees.
Excuse me.
You're good. Don't worry. I've had my nose is a little runny too. Just been, start of spring, man.
No, you're absolutely right. And I think the Rays team is good. And I will say the other day when we did our episode, and I did kind of gloss over a lot of talented offensive pieces that the Rays have. Arozarena is a good player, but is Arozarena better than Joey Gallo in terms of his value to the team? And they're kind of about even. So it's that could be a wash. And a lot of people think that Joey Gallo is one of the Yankees' worst hitters because of his approach and how bad he was in his small sample size. So if you want to say that Gallo's our worst hitter to a lot of people, but our worst hitter that we retained, not acquired, then you're saying he's essentially Randy Arozarena levels worth of production because that's where they match up. And Randy Arozarena to Rays fans is their second best player. That's what I'm trying to say is if you look at this Rays lineup, if Arozarena goes on a cold streak like he's shown to do, that offense is going to need runs. Meadows was not very good last year. And he's being shopped in trade talks as this spring training is going underway. So they have a lot of question marks as is. I love Wander Franco. The dude's gonna be a star. Brandon Lau. He's really good. The Andy Diaz is really underrated. But as a whole, they have a couple. They have a couple of Yankees-esque pieces where I don't think Zunino's going to be an 800, 830, 840, whatever his OPS was last year, catcher again, because he went off last year.
Oh, he was ridiculous.
I love Mike Zunino. I remember watching Mike Zunino play the Salt Lake Bees in AAA like 6 years ago because I'm in Utah here, and I was visiting and I went and saw him. He's always been a home run or strikeout catcher, but he's really good defensively. He's basically what we wanted Gary to kind of become as he had evolved with the Yankees, where it's like we'd wanted him to be this home run pop catcher, but we wanted him to focus on his defense and his arm and be able to, limit the runners, limit the pass balls, and frame the pitches right. And that didn't work out. He was really good offensively, but the defense didn't come. So the Rays are relying on Zunino to once again do what he did last year because he won them a lot of ball games by himself. Like he was like a 5 or 6 WAR catcher.
Yeah, he was, and think about it. He played 109 games last year, 375 plate appearances, and a 4.5 F WAR.
And that's what's crazy.
If you have him, if you divide that and you set it over like 500 plate appearances, that's a 6 WAR season.
That's what I'm saying.
So that's ridiculous.
I don't think we ever see that again from Zunino. And I love Mike Zunino. He's a beast, but he hit like a home run like every 9 at bats.
His barrel rate was 24.3%, which is just ridiculous. Like that's insane.
I don't know if that's maintainable. Like every time
Neither
you
do
hit
I.
it, it's like it goes far. Like Zunino just hits the ball hard. He's a lot like Josh Donaldson, but a lot more swing and miss. Yeah, and in the air. He doesn't ground out ever.
Yeah. And I think Zunino's going to remain a productive player because he's a good defender, and the power's being there.
Yeah, the power is a big thing.
He'll be around a league average hitter, and really good defense. And the Rays definitely have the platoon items and or platoon guys in their lineup to kind of cover up their holes. Right, they do have Josh Lowe coming up this year, I believe, and I'm pretty excited for him. Last year in AAA, 140 WRC plus, 26 stolen bases, 22 home runs.
Do you think we see Vidal again? Vidal Brujan? Do you think he comes back up?
I think he does, but I'm kind of curious what they do with Taylor Walls because he was a stellar defensive player last year. Not really,
but his bat didn't come around with him.
Yeah. Guys like even Xavier Edwards, I wonder what we're going to see from him. Jonathan Miranda is another guy who I'm pretty interested in, not ranked on any prospect list for them, but last year, 325 average, 410 on base, 540 slugging in AAA.
Yeah.
He could be a guy. Like the Rays always kind of have like that they can call up anyone, right? Like they can call
that's
up
the
someone,
Rays, yeah.
And they just have such a deep farm that I'm not concerned for them offensively. I think they'll be a really good offensive team. Defensively, they'll stay really strong. I'm just concerned about how they're going to get innings this year. Could they win a division?
Lot of question marks.
Right. Now, could they win a division? Yes. I wouldn't be
the Rays. They always
shocked.
Are somehow like they're like the really good A's where they're always competitive even when you look at their payroll.
And so they're going to be a good team pretty consistently most of the time.
Their analytics department's nutty.
Yeah, it's probably the best. I would say it's the best in baseball.
It's a lot of college kids in there. I mean, it's actually really cool. Like that's why they have so much. That's why they profit so much from their farm. Yeah. Yeah. And I think ultimately the team that I'm the most scared of, we got to see them today, Toronto. That team has what they have, and what they have built is a lineup full of guys that can just launch the ball. Now, I know that you don't. They OPS'd 800 as a team last year with a 113 WRC plus. They were like nuts. Like I was like, what?
Yeah, I know that spring training is spring training, right? But to see that they were able to just casually in spring training just hit 95 plus, 100 mile per hour plus. I think they had 5 or 6 off
over 95 today in the first inning.
Yeah, it was they could just hammer.
Somebody got rocked. I'm not too worried for Montgomery. I mean, his
neither
was down, but again, it's his first start of spring. People need to stop freaking out. I love all the immediate reactions. Again, when Talking Yanks posted the Yankees score yesterday, I commented on it and said, "When we win, it's destiny. When we lose, it doesn't count. Gotta love spring training." That's literally what this is. When we win, hell yeah. When we lose, this doesn't count. Cancel or cancel the season. Sarcastically, these games don't matter. It's just good to see people work, get their motions going, get at bats, get innings pitched behind them. I'm excited. I hope Cole starts tomorrow or maybe Thursday. I don't know.
I'll check. I don't know if we're playing tomorrow, but I'll check right now.
But I think maybe Thursday Cole's gonna get his first start of the spring. Which
I want to see Cole.
We need to see Cole.
Yeah. We do play, and we're seeing Davey Garcia, I believe, tomorrow. Okay. That should be fun.
Davey should be nice.
Yeah, Davey is someone who we know really struggled last year. And I know And
really struggled. Got
yeah,
rocked
but
at AAA.
you know, that rising fastball of his, right? Like that's always going to make him someone that I'm curious about. You know, like he's throwing. So I just want to pull up his stat cast for a second. But yeah, I wonder when we're going to see Cole, because it's a little interesting. We haven't seen him yet.
I mean, from what I've heard, Boone talked about it a little bit, like on the broadcast of the games, and then of course, like behind the scenes before all the interviews and discussions. Like Cole has been, you know, doing the live pitching 2 at bats, like with Stanton and Judge and them, getting in practice on the backfields and everything, doing live bullpen sessions. Like
that's good.
Cole is luckily, you know, getting the work in. We're just not seeing him live. So I think Thursday, if he comes out and pitches, regardless of how he looks, even if he looks like wild card last year, Cole, I just want to see him pitch, and I want to see him throw 99. DeGrom today came out and threw 2 innings, struck out 5, touched 99. Speaking of touching 99, our boy, I don't know if we talked about him on air, Severino. Yeah, and then of course also for the Marlins. I know a lot of people are kind of down on Jesus Luzardo, but
he touched 99 today. Yeah, I saw that.
He touched 99 like 6 times.
Yeah, and honestly, dude, like, you know, I think that's the most fun part about spring. You kind of see some guys take velo jumps. Nestor today, or not today, excuse me, yesterday had, and I tweeted about this.
Yeah,
in terms of average velocity, it was the 5th highest his fastball at sat, or tied for 5th highest, and it was the most spin he's ever averaged on a fastball in an outing ever in his career.
And we like to see that. Nestor, everyone should be like Nestor. He's a Cy Young candidate, so like we need to accept that.
Of course he is. You know, I don't think that people understand that's a sub-3 ERA. Like that,
like legitimately, he is a sub-3 ERA like pitcher this year. Like that's what's crazy about Nestor is like everyone can laugh all they want and be like, oh yeah, the Yankees are really touting out Nestor Cortez like he's a weapon. Like guys, like the numbers don't lie. Like Nestor Cortez is really good. Like Phillies fans, I know are really excited about Ranger Suarez this year and seeing him for a full season. Ranger Suarez is just a little bit shiny version of Nestor Cortez in terms of how he produces. So, like, if you want to get excited about Ranger Suarez, keep that same energy for Nestor Cortez. You know what I'm saying? That's all.
And for Cortez, I mean, the thing is, yes, he's odd, but deviation from the norm with pitching is what you want. You want guys who do things drastically differently, because that throws off hitters. You know, one thing that people kind of come out with Nestor is he's 27 years old. He turned 27 last December, in December. So he was 26 last year.
And we had like 4 or 5 years of team control with Nestor. Like,
yeah, he's a free agent in 2026, right? He's not eligible until the 2023 season.
Yeah, so we got a couple years of Nestor. And of course, I'm sure you saw like people like watching Nestor Cortez play, and he's just like a good guy to have in the clubhouse. So even if Nestor goes out there this season and pitches to a 4.42 ERA, but still gets say 110 innings, I'm fine with it. I'm not mad with it. I'm not mad about it. But Nestor could be a 2.6 ERA, 2.5 ERA pitcher very easily, because he induces a lot of ground balls. He gets swings and misses, and his slider and like little cut movement fastball are disgusting. Like he's really good.
I think ultimately, right, like for context with how young Nestor is a month younger than Loaizaga. Loaizaga really broke out over the past years, age 26 season. Same thing with Nestor. Am I saying that Nestor is going to, 290 ERA, 180 innings, 30 starts? No. What I am saying though is for a 4 to 5 starter, if he gives you like you said, a 4 ERA, right? Is your 5 starter, is reliable, can get through 5 or 6 innings per start. You take that and you're going to be very happy with that. And for the cost, especially for being a 4 or 5 starter, you'll definitely take it. It's better than what we've had in years past. 4 or 5.
I agree. And that's what people need to understand is like, even Yankees fans, like I know Yankees fans are like, honestly, we have a cult following for a lot of players, players develop cult followings. Like Aaron Boone had a cult following because of his moment. But like my thing, like Todd Frazier, cult following, Didi Gregorius, even Starlin Castro. A lot of people love Starlin.
I think my favorite cult following
right now, it's got to be Nestor.
Yeah, it is. I mean,
Nestor.
it's pretty hilarious. And he's just such a likable guy. Like, there's really not like, you really can't dislike him, because what is there to dislike him for, right? If your expectation is for him to be an ace, I think you're crazy, right?
That's the thing. Yeah, you got to keep your expectations reasonable.
But if he is an ace, it would be hilarious, and I would
be awesome.
It's the funniest thing is he went from a guy who in his career had a 6.72 ERA, had a walk rate of 10.3%, a strikeout rate of 21.7%, a FIP of 6.69, nice, And then proceeded to put up a 2.90 ERA, a 3.78 FIP, and strike out 27% of batters and keeping the walk rate below 6.7.
And that's what I'm saying. Like Nestor doesn't give up anything. Like he doesn't give up any bullshit. Nestor goes out there, he does his thing. He gets pumped up too. Like Nestor's he's just fun to watch, and he is good. So it's like the Yankees having that consistency out of their 4 or 5, even their long relief bridge guy is huge, because we still don't know how this offseason is gonna like kind of end up here in the next week or so. I've kind of convinced myself that we're not going to require anyone else. We may extend Judge, which I pray to God we extend Judge. I mean, we both know that, and everyone knows that. Joel Sherman tweeted that the Yankees are discussing contract extensions with Judge. So we may get an update on that in the coming days, or we may just see Aaron Judge turn down the Yankees' 3-year offer, because that's how the Yankees are kind of approaching this offseason. But when you look at the Yankees rotation right now, Garrett Cole is the clear-cut ace number 1. And I don't think anyone else in the AL East is as good as Garrett Cole.
I agree.
I think the AL East pitching in terms of the top pitchers, it goes Cole, Gausman, Eovaldi, Barrios in that order. And then from there, if you look at the rest of our rotation, we got Severino, huge question mark, but very high ceiling. Taillon, question mark, very high ceiling. I mean, the dude was a top prospect for like 3 years and was very good before he had a couple of injuries and other unfortunate circumstances that kind of derailed his career a little bit. But now he's back and he's pitching well. So like, if Taillon pitches well, we have him as our 3 or our 4 with Gumby, Jordan Montgomery there. Like that, those are all, in my opinion, sub-4 ERA pitchers.
Yeah.
And is that crazy for me to say? And then Nestor as our 5, that all sub-4 ERA pitchers. And I don't think any other team in the division has that.
Now, I will say, like it isn't
maybe the Blue Jays actually. Maybe
the Blue Jays are definitely that team.
I will say I'm not as high on Alec Manoa as a lot of people are. I think he's a really good pitcher, but I think he's gonna get hit a little bit more this year. I think he's gonna be like a 4.2, 4.3 ERA pitcher, but that's not bad. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying like I think that a lot of people are really high on him, and I fear he could have kind of a Jesus Luzardo-esque fall down where some people figure him out. He may struggle a little bit with some things in his off pitch, and maybe he gets hit around a bit more. Again, this is all just speculation. He could just go out there and have a 2.2 ERA year and throw lights out baseball. And I also don't know what they're going to do with like Stripling, Kikuchi, Pearson. Like they've got a lot of arms now. Like the Blue Jays are in a really good situation because they can put some of these guys in the bullpen, but it's just going to be interesting to see potentially Kikuchi or Stripling and Pearson in the bullpen.
Yeah,
like
and
Pearson
was
once the most highly touted starting pitcher in baseball.
Like they have the talent. Like the talent for the Blue Jays rotation, like that's another thing they have. They have talent. They have some depth. Like they have kind of all things you want in a rotation. They have reliable guys. Barrios, Gausman, definitely going to go out there and give you 30+ starts.
Ryu's all right. He's pretty good.
Yeah. Ryu at like a 4 ERA with 30 starts, you'll take it, right? That's volume. Maybe not for the contract, but volume.
That's the thing. The contract,
decent ERA, like considering the run environment, like you'll take it, right? Because AL East 4 ERA is different from like an AL Central 4 ERA for sure. Alec Manoa, again, like I like Manoa. I don't love him. Like I don't think he's like crazy good. I think he's
pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good is where I'd put him at. And pretty good that's good, right?
It's good, yeah. Especially for the Blue Jays that they need
that's their 3 or 4, right? Like that's good, right?
And then you got that toss-up.
Pearson, Stripling as your 5, 6, and 7, and 2 of those guys in the bullpen, 1 of those guys in the rotation, right? Like that's a good problem to have.
It's a good problem to have. That's what I'm saying. But all I'm saying is that also it's a lot of like question marks like the Yankees rotation. Because my thing is then the other thing is like people could come at me for this because it kind of goes a little bit against what his peripherals looked like last year. Is Kevin Gausman has realistically had 1 or 2 pretty good seasons, and then last year was really good. So I don't know if he's going to be as good as he was last year, a la Robbie Ray. Robbie Ray's FIP was not good last year. So it's like not good, but it wasn't like the $30 million contract he got good. So maybe we see a little bit of a decline for Gausman, or maybe the complete opposite. But the thing is that with this Blue Jays team, it's like the Yankees. There's question marks all around it. Like their offense was very good last year. Like I said, 800 OPS as a team. Is that going to maintain? They've got a lot of pieces too that they're going to need to be able to fill in that lineup. I mean, I don't know exactly how they're going to want to split Kirk and Jansen behind the plate because Alejandro Kirk is a really, really good hitting catcher, but he's not very good defensively, and Jansen's the complete opposite. So it'll be interesting to see how they weigh defense, because the Yankees clearly weigh defense very heavily now. Last year we were terrible defensively. We were one of the worst defensive teams in baseball, and we went out and fixed it. The Blue Jays, they saw that they could really build their starting pitching, and they went out and they signed numerous guys to starting pitching contracts. And now you look at the Blue Jays and everyone's like, oh, this is the team to beat. Bo Bichette is all of a sudden being called a 40-40 player. And I'm like, what in the hell? Like, I like Bo Bichette. He's really good. But I do not think Bo Bichette's a 40-40 player. Like,
I think it's hard to say you're 40-40. But I will say, you know, they have just the amount of young hitting, and Vlad is this incredible combination of a guy who has a ridiculous hit tool, ridiculous power, and ridiculous play. Like, he's
elite. Vlad Guerrero is elite. He, in my opinion, is the best player, maybe the second best player in the AL East. I think judging here 1 and 2. Yeah,
I agree. And I would say, you know, Bichette is. I think a lot of his value comes, like, he's not going to be a 141 WRC plus hitter. He'll be around 125, but the base running value, it's going to bring up his offense value.
Yeah, he's going to hit a lot of doubles.
He's going to provide a lot of runs. The defense got better throughout the year, which I think is a good sign for him, right? Even if he's not even if he's an average defender, right? He's going to be around a 5-win player, which is good, really good actually, and good is underselling it. Yes. Matt Chapman, you know, that's a guy who's an elite defender.
Huge gift for them,
right? You know,
and they bought out his arbitration years, 2 years, $25 million. I mean, if he literally does the Josh Donaldson, like I made the comparison last time, like if he could have that exact same career path here, and he could bat 260 this year and have 8 WAR, like there's. Matt Chapman's ceiling is incredibly high, and his hips fixed. MVP. His hips fixed too. He could win MVP. Yeah, I mean, I said that I think Josh Donaldson's the best third baseman all around in the division, and I still stand by that statement. Matt Chapman could very easily prove me wrong.
I think that I have Devers 1 just because I really believe in his. I think as an offensive player, he is incredible, right? And I think there's enough flaws in the other two, Donaldson and Chapman, that I will take Devers' median outcome, but I would say that Chapman's ceiling is probably the most enticing, because there is opportunity for him to hit as well as everyone else in the division and defend like the best defensive player in baseball.
See, my main counter is that Donaldson's floor is the best out of all of them, in my opinion. Like with Chapman, he could be like last year, where he could, you know, still struggle with the strikeouts and the swing and misses and not being able to connect with the ball a lot and get unlucky, but still produce defensively. And then Devers could once again be a complete dud third baseman defensively and hit his way to a 3 or 4 WAR season. But Donaldson, I think we know what we're going to get out of Donaldson. Like, the only worry with Donaldson is if he's healthy. That's like the only worry with Donaldson. The worry with Chapman is his offense going to come back around? The worry with Devers is he going to be able to man third base and play good enough defense there to where he can play 150 games at third?
Right. But I will say, I think injuries kind of play a part in how high your floor is. Like the Donaldson floor, like there's a chance he plays like 50 games, right? And that's a floor, right?
But it's hard because, like, is it a chance? Because like Donaldson really hasn't missed a lot of time.
Right.
Like, last year he missed like 30 games, which is a lot for Donaldson.
He missed a lot. Like, it was 2020 from what I understand, which was a shortened year. So you're like he missed 32 games, but if you were to play 162, like, would he have missed the same, like, with the percentage? He
probably would have missed 80 or 70 probably, yeah.
Right, like, maybe that doesn't look nearly as bad as it does when it's 28 out of 60, right? Maybe
no, you're correct on that.
100 out of 160. But, you know, I will say, you know, that for the third base talk and for the Blue Jays in general, just the ability to say, hey, we definitely have the best first baseman in the division. You know, we probably have the best shortstop in the division, right? And at third base, we just casually added a guy who might be the best third baseman in the division, might be an MVP vote getter. You know, that's ridiculous. Springer, you know, when he's healthy, he's ridiculous.
Yeah, he didn't play a lot last year. They were missing Springer a lot.
But when he played, he was really good. So, you know, it's not a matter of – it's kind of
like – And they got Teoscar and Gurriel and Kirk, as I talked about a bit. Like, they got a lot of really talented hitters. Their worst hitter is Kevin Biggio, and he's like a 14% walk rate guy.
And Biggio currently might not even start.
Because who are they starting over him? Espinal?
Yeah, they could start. Espinal was pretty solid last year. I mean, I'm not sure how they're going to suit that lineup up. They probably want to have Biggio in there just because they want to have a lefty in there.
Yeah.
But you know, they have a lot of guys who just, you know, it's unreal, man. Like, this is just you know, I can't understand how you can fit so much offensive talent and firepower through that 1 through 6. Really, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, but I will say, like, if you look at their 1 through 6 and you compare it to the Yankees 1 through 6, the the baseline, in my opinion, average for both teams 1 through 6, like OPS, WC plus, I think is going to be around 830, 840 for both teams, with like a WRC plus in the 120s, 130s, like for both teams. So that's why I'm saying, like, if you look at the lineups on paper, the honestly, the Blue Jays looks better. And because a lot of people are really, really against like some things that the Yankees have done, and they seem to think that Rizzo is going to bat 245, 250, and I just don't see that happening. And then they think Joey Gallo is going to bat like 110. Like, a lot of people and a lot of fans of Red Sox and Blue Jays and Rays accounts that I've seen like on social media and everything seem to think that Joey Gallo is just going to be a complete dud baseball player and will not do anything and will literally just hit a home run or get out. And that's not how Joey Gallo operates. Like, sure, he's going to strike out a lot, but he's going to be a 220 hitter, 230 hitter, and he's going to hit a lot of home runs, not like 21 home runs, like 41 home runs. So having that and as your 6 hitter is insane. Like, that's our 6-hole guy, or maybe Hicks is our 6-hole guy. And even Hicks is, when he's healthy, that's the thing with Hicks. When he's healthy, he's a top 5 center fielder in baseball in terms of value, production, walk rate. Like, that's when he plays.
I think the real key here is just for the Yankees and Blue Jays, who has more go wrong for them? Whoever has more go wrong for them, they're not going to win the division.
That's a good point.
Ultimately, I think the Blue Jays on paper are just a bit better than the Yankees. I think they're better enough that I would pick them to win. If you like told me, Ryan, pick one team, I'm picking the Blue Jays right now.
Okay.
It's not because the Yankees aren't that good. I mean, it's that Blue Jays team I just think is really good, right? Like, they could, when you can try to a lineup where you DH Kirk, you put Gurriel in left, Teoscar in right, Springer in center, Biggio at second hitting like 8th, Jansen hitting 9th. But, Jansen's another guy. Last year, 105 WRC plus. Steamer and Zips really likes him. They think he'll be around that range. Elite defender, didn't overperform. This could be a guy who maybe puts up average offense at a 100 WRC plus at the 9th.
That's fair.
With a really good defender. Like, that lineup is so deep. But at the same time, you could have things go wrong. Like, Jansen could get hurt. Like, Jansen last year had 205 play appearances, right? Can he handle a full season load, right?
Springer, you don't know. And again, we always worry about this with every single Blue Jays infielder. I mean, it ruined Troy Tulowitzki. The turf. Right. You never know. With turf there.
I would say Vlad's relatively durable. Like, I trust Vlad to play
I trust Vlad, but everyone else there, Biggio's missed a lot of time.
I'm pretty sure Bichette has missed time before.
Bichette's missed time.
I'm going to double check on that.
Matt Chapman's missed time. Like, everyone's missed time on that team.
Injury.
Chapman's coming off a hip injury, and he's playing on turf now for at least 2 years is what they expect. That could just, like, and I don't mean to be rude or say, okay, I hope for an injury at all, because I don't hope for an injury. Matt Chapman's a
But it's possible.
But it's possible, and you got to account for that with all of these teams, like with the Yankees. That's why when, like, on our last episode, I was talking a little bit, like, I was like, you got to expect at least one of our guys to get injured opening week. Right.
And every year it's someone's going to have a really bad year staying on the field. Someone's going to stay on the field and not have the year they're supposed to have.
And let's hope that's us, where we all stay healthy and everyone hits the ceilings.
And, so you got to kind of, you really, and this is where, it's just difficult to manage a roster. You got to figure out, you got to kind of be able to adjust quickly to who you do think is not going to perform well the rest of the year after a slow start, or who's going to pick it up, right? Like, you would see guys who get off the slow starts and then go crazy. Like, we saw Stanton, he went into that slump, I believe, in early August, where people were like, oh, should drop in the lineup, this and that.
People need to love Stanton more.
Went off.
He deserves everyone's love.
Right.
Stanton's the man. He carried us in like postseason Stanton too, since he's been a Yankee. That guy's ridiculous. Is a different breed.
Yeah.
Like, if not for the stupid ass, terrible architectural design of the Green Wall of China, the Green Monster, he would have single-handedly won us the wild card. He would have knocked Uvalde out of the game.
He hit a double, a single, and a home run in that game. Like, he should not have had to do anything else. Everything else was on the Yankee offense, and Cole not really.
And then you also had people, like, I remember after that happened, people were like, Stanton, like, why aren't you rounding the bases? If you were rounding the bases, it's like, dude, when you rip a ball 112 miles an hour at a 20-degree launch angle, that should be a home run.
And even if it's not, like, do you want to try to have Stanton extend to second with 2 outs?
Like slide, and then all of a sudden, look, Stanton's reaching out his groin, he's injured,
or not even hurt. Like, he's not. It's not like this guy's like,
he would have gotten thrown out.
That ball was 6'7". That ball was hit so hard that you don't have a lot of time to react to it.
Yeah.
you also that's an easy play for the left fielder once he recovers the ball.
I think Stanton's gonna be really good this year, dude.
Right, I agree. I think Stanton and Judge in the lineup is going to really help.
And Donaldson. I think Donaldson. Right. This is my hot take for the year. We already talked about how I think he's going to be the Yankees MVP. I've thought about this a lot, and I've looked at some stats, and I've looked at their baseball savant profiles. I think Josh Donaldson leads the Yankees in home runs this year.
And
I think he has 39. Lock it in, boys. Lock it in. If he doesn't, I will shave my head. 39 home runs.
I don't know if shaving your head might be. I think
he's going to do it. That's how confident I am. I'm on the bringer of rain hype train, baby.
Like I would make a shave my head. I would make a shave my head bet on like if like Garrett Cole had like an above 3.5 ERA, I would shave.
Oh, so you do it if it's like as a punishment. See, I wouldn't mind doing it as like a good thing. Like I wouldn't mind to shave my head. I shaved my head once. We could do it again. I'm not having a midlife crisis yet.
Double whammy, like yeah, you're right. Like if
I wouldn't do the leopard print on it, I wouldn't go full Dennis Rodman.
I mean, hey man. I mean, I've cut my hair. I used to cut my hair like super short when I was younger, like buzz cut. So maybe.
Yeah. So that's what I'm talking. Let's rock the buzz. But I don't know. Man, we could kind of wind up this episode here because I think we're at about like 42 minutes or something. And I want to stick around that length for this and shit like that. But I guess to end this episode, I'll ask you this question and I'll give my little take on it. As of right now, how do you think the AL East shapes up officially? Because I saw you posted your playoff rankings and I posted mine, but you have a much larger following and I do too. And I have my 7 followers on Twitter.
That's what I love talking about. Like we're going to get it up.
Yeah, it's at 11 now or something. We're growing, baby.
We're going to get it. I'm going to get that up.
What are your AL East projections at the All-Star break? Because that's what I want to look at is the All-Star break. Because that's when we could also be looking at a catcher or a starting pitcher.
I think you never know. I think so as currently stands. So I think that's kind of what we're getting at here. Like current rosters, right? I think that at the All-Star break, it'll be Blue Jays 1, Yankees 2, Rays 3, Red Sox 4, Orioles 5.
You don't see Baltimore with that hot start to the season.
No, I mean, I really can't get cute with Baltimore because they just don't have enough young talent coming up. Like they have Adley, and that's really it.
And their highest paid player on the roster is Chris Davis.
Right. They don't have a lot of guys either who they brought in who are like high risk, high reward. There's none of that. There's a lot of meh, right?
But Cedric Mullins, not meh. I like Ryan
Mountcastle he's really good.
And Austin Hayes. Austin Hayes destroys us too. I don't know why.
He's a good defender. But, they just really didn't bring in anyone who, I'm saying additions, right?
No, yeah.
I'm going to love seeing
Did they keep Mancini? What do they
he's still there. He's still there.
They'll trade him. I imagine they'll trade him.
Yeah, probably the deadline. I'd imagine.
So that's what I'm saying. Maybe there's a lot of pieces out there too that we could go after at the deadline, which is why I said at the All-Star break. I agree with you on 1 and 2. I think 3 and 4, I think it's gonna be switched. I think the Rays are going to need to get an arm at the deadline because I think I think Boz is going to get shut down for longer than they're anticipating. And I think they're going to get not as much production as they want to out of Yarbrough and Kluber. So I think they're going to be looking for an arm, and I think they're going to be 4th, Boston 3rd, because for whatever reason, that Boston offense is really talented. But
I can see it.
Last point here I want to kind of end on real quick is Boston fans love to hype up Alex Verdugo like he's this next elite player. He's a really good player. But if you look at their WAR and what he does, he's their DJ LeMahieu. So
he hits the ball on the ground a lot, and
everyone's been shooting on DJ recently because it was his last season. But DJ LeMahieu before that was like the 2 seasons in pinstripes was elite. So if you want to say that Verdugo is a really promising player for you guys with his 9% walk rate and 10% strikeout rate with his 280 batting average and good defense, that's literally what DJ LeMahieu does. So that's kind of my ending point there.
Yeah, and to end it off, I just want to say, hopefully, spring training keeps going well. Everyone stays healthy, right? And hopefully we got a really exciting season to talk about. So,
hopefully we make more moves too, dude. I know we can.
Yeah, hey, Manaea and Montas agreed to their arbitration. I think that might have been holding up trade talks because
and that's the other thing. I believe Montas is only $5 million this year. That keeps us under 270.
Yeah, and so
I'm still going to give less hope on Murphy, by the way. I think.
Yeah, I don't think Murphy's happening. I really don't. He's a pretty hard player.
Contreras, maybe the Diamondbacks are still sitting in the corner quietly, not doing anything. No idea.
Hey, I just want to at least get I think Monster's better than Manaea. If you can get Manaea though, I'd be happy with it. Just get me a starter. Just
cool. Anyone to plug.
Put yourself over the top, right?
Put us in the 2 or the 3, dude. With innings on the arm that is proven. That doesn't have too many innings on the arm, but has proven that they can throw 160 innings. That's all I want.
Yeah,
that's literally all I want.
For sure.
Also, I was looking at something real quick. I don't know this. I know we're supposed to end real quick, but One guy that I'm really excited to watch pitch this year is Lucas Giolito. That dude. I looked at his numbers. Good. I did not realize how good Lucas Giolito's been for some time now. It's been like 4 seasons in a row of like ace quality from Lucas Giolito. So we can talk about how the AL looks in our next episode, the rest of the AL a little bit, as well as other Yankees talk. But the White Sox, man, if they end up getting Montas or Manaea, and they somehow do what the Twins did to us, where we just got their salary and the Twins got Correa and they kind of snuffed under us. If the White Sox do it, I'm gonna be very pissed.
I think they could get one of the guys. We get the other one, like
that one too is really good of Montas or Manaea and Giolito, and then they've still got some good guys. Like Dylan Cease.
Michael
Kopech's a big question mark.
And Lynn's always going to be solid. Yeah, Lynn's always going to be that solid anchor.
And then Lynn,
that's why I like Manaea. That's why I like Manaea. So good. That's why I like Manaea, because I see Manaea as like or Montas.
Lynn 2.0.
Like, yeah, I see him as like put him in the rotation, 30 starts. Okay. You don't even think about it. Good production. Behind the ace, right? So Lynn was the ace last year for them, but like I think the idea, I think the idea was always Giolito ace, Lynn backup too, right? Yeah,
that's why they let Rodon walk as well, because they have other guys they believe in, and their bullpen's so good that if they only go 4 innings, they've got like 4 guys that are elite bullpen arms.
They're gonna be fine. But we'll talk more about the White Sox. We'll talk about the White Sox in the next episode. Let's wrap up here today. Thank you all for watching. We're going to put our Twitters in the description. Make sure to follow them. And with that being said, see you guys.
Adios.
Listen close, what is this? Is it heartbreak? Is it truly what it feels like? What it sound like? What it's truly at the sharp teeth in the chest, gets all in the press of the beat and the bruise. Feeling like a pawn to the degree that he's smooth, but I never been a piece of the evil in the room with these trick. Is what they mask, I presume. I'm telling if I got a load, I swear I resume. On my conquest.